Okay, this is part 2 of the video, so the video stopped somewhere in example 4 here, unfortunately. So to solve for the circumference, we're multiplying by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 130 over 360 is 360 over 130. You multiply something by its reciprocal, you get 1. It's like 2 times 1/2 is 1. 3 times 1/3. 1/3 of 3 is 1. So we can make this 1 by multiplying by the reciprocal. So then we multiply the other side of the equation by that same fraction there, 360 over 130. So we're going to do 6.5 times 360 divided by 130. times 360 divided by 130. And we get 18. Okay, so the circumference of this entire circle, if that arc is 6.5, then the entire circle is 18 meters. Okay, next example. We're going to use the same formula. This is asking for the measure of arc JK. So here we're given the arc length of arc JK. The arc length is 21 meters. So the measure would be like, how many degrees is this arc? Okay, so we can use this formula, and we're trying to find the arc measure. Okay, so for arc length, I know the arc length is 21. I'm looking for the arc measure, so I'll call that x over 360. And then find the circumference, that would be 2 times pi times the radius. And here I do know the radius is 14.32. Okay, so again, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So this is 2 times pi times 14.32 over 360. So the reciprocal would have 360 on the top, and 2 times pi times 14.32 in the denominator. Okay, so I'll do 21 times 360 divided by 2 times pi times 14.32. On some of these problems, typing it into the calculator is not super straightforward. 360 times 21 divided by, and then I'm going to put parentheses around my 2 times pi times 14.32. And if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, that's real close to 84.0. Okay, so that's degrees. So that arc is approximately 84.0 degrees. Which looks about right. 84 is pretty close to 90. That looks pretty close to a right angle. So that seems to make sense. Okay, two more. The radius of a wheel of a toy truck is 4 inches to the nearest foot. How far does the wheel travel when it makes 7 revolutions? Okay, so picture a revolution. So you got a wheel, and it's gonna roll. It's gonna roll. So 1 revolution would be equal to the circumference of the circle. So we're going to want to find the circumference, would be 1 revolution, and then multiply that circumference times 7. So the question is, how far does the wheel travel when it makes 7 revolutions? Okay, so circumference, 2 times pi times r. R is 4 inches. And then multiply that times 7 to figure out what 7 revolutions would be. Two times pi times 4 for the radius times 7. 175.9. And the radius was in inches. So I just found the circumference, or I found the distance that the wheel's traveling in inches. The problem asks us, how many feet does it travel? There's a foot. So we need to know that there are 12 inches in a foot. So divide my answer by 12. And that's how many feet it's going to be. So take your answer and divide it by 12. 14.66. So if I round that to nearest foot, I would round up to 15 feet. Okay. Last one. A path is built around 4 congruent circular fields. The radius of each field is 100 feet. How long is the path? And so we're looking for the distance around the outside of this figure here. Okay, so this is 90 degrees. So that arc right there in the corner, that's what fraction of the whole circumference? Hopefully you can see that's 1/4, right? 1/4 of the way around the circle. Okay, and then these circles are congruent. So this circle is going to have that same arc. This circle is going to have that same arc. And that circle is going to have the same arc. So if I added up these 4 arcs, so if each one of them is 1/4 of the circumference, but there's 4 of them, if they'll add those up, that would just equal the circumference of one circle, right? Okay, so if I do 2 times pi times the radius, which is 100, so that gives me those corners. Okay, then I also need to figure out how far is it on the straight parts in between the corners. So the radius is 100, so that applies all the way around the circle. So from the circle down to here, to that edge right there, that's also 100. And then this circle from the center up to the edge is also 100. So 100 plus 100, that distance would have to be 200. And it's going to be the same thing down here. And the same thing here. And the same thing here. So the part between the curves, 200 times 4 is 800. Whoops. So calculator one last time. Do 2 times pi times 100. That's the circumference, which is those 4 corners, plus the 800. Whoops, not times 800. Plus 800. Yeah, we got 1,428. 1,428. My units here are in feet. Do you know how many feet are in a mile? 5,280. So you'd have to do, what, more than 3 laps. If you were walking, you wanted to get in a mile, 3+ laps. Okay, so now my substitute will hand out your homework, which is worksheet 11.1. And you have the remaining class time to work on that. Ideally, you would get that done before the end of the period and turn that in before you leave. Since it's a late start today, we don't have quite as much work time as we would normally have. So if you work diligently the entire period and need more time, then take it home, work on it at home or in study hall or wherever, and have it ready to turn in at the beginning of class on Wednesday. Okay? So ideally, get it done, turn it in at the end of class today, but if not, then have it done by the beginning of class on Wednesday. But get as much done in class here as you can. Okay? So I will see you on Wednesday. Have a good rest of your day.